Welcome to this deep dive. Today, we're really trying to crack the code on creating these CCR views for articles.
Right. We've got that user guide, and the goal is to not just list the steps, but, understand why they're there.
Exactly. Get to the heart of it. So our mission today, break down this process, make it clear, make it efficient.
And maybe see what it tells us about the system itself.
Okay, so first up, actually getting into the function. The guide mentions, well, digging through a menu path. Didn't give us the details there. Or, and this seems way faster, you just use the shortcut code, MM01.
Ah, MM01. That sounds like something designed for people doing this often, a direct route.
Definitely. So you're in, now what? You need to tell it which article you're working on.
Makes sense. Got to specify the item.
So you enter the article code, the specific one, and then you hit validate.
Okay, so it confirms you've picked the right thing before you go any further. Item-centric.
Precisely. Then you need to select the actual views you want to create. The guide says, click an option for other views. And then you pick 4 specific ones. It doesn't list them all right here, but it implies it's always the same 4 for this CCR process.
That suggests a standard, a required data set, kind of. Ensures consistency across articles, maybe?
That's what it feels like.
Okay.
Okay, let's dive into configuring these views. First one, CCR1. Now, this depends. If it's a purchased finished good that's FERT or a semi-finished good, ALEB, you need to flag a specific zone.
Okay, a flag. And does it matter who you buy it from?
It does. Different codes. XXXX if it's an external supplier.
Got it.
XSTE for group suppliers. And they mentioned IRL and CQuist as examples.
Internal groups.
And then East for the Velocitas division, specifically LN and LV locations.
Wow, okay. That's quite specific. It's not just about what you buy, but who you buy it from baked right into the view. That must feed into different cost tracking, yeah.
Seems likely.
Yeah.
And still on CCR1, if there are subcontracting fees. FIA de sous-traitance, you enter 30.
30. Okay, a specific code for subcontracting costs.
Yeah. And it also mentions another field you might fill in if it exists. So, bit conditional there.
Flexible based on the item's specifics.
And after entering all that for CCR1, you guessed it, validate.
Validation again. A checkpoint. Good practice. Probably stops errors early.
Definitely seems like a control measure. Okay, next view, CCR2.
What's involved here?
Well, this is interesting. The guide is pretty brief. It just says, validate this view.
That's it. No data entry mentioned for CCR2?
Nope, just validate.
Maybe it pulls data automatically, or it's configured elsewhere.
Could be. Something happens there, but the manual input isn't detailed in this part. On to Accounting 1.
Okay, Accounting 1 sounds important.
This one's got a lot of specific codes, and they depend heavily on the material type. Ready?
See it on me.
9,000 for FERT, 8,000 for assembled HALB, 801 for plastic HALB, 802 for subcontracted HALB.
Okay, different codes even within HALB depending on how it's made or sourced. That's granular.
It is. Then 4,500 for HABE, 1,000 for plastic and colorant raw materials.
ROH,
right. 1,200 for metal raw materials, 1,300 for TP technical products, I think, and miscellaneous raw materials, and 4,000 for packaging, VERP.
Phew, that's a detailed breakdown. Each triggering different GL accounts or cost components, presumably.
Must be. And there's a rule here, too, for like cost determination. You enter 1 if it's a manufactured FERT or HALB.
So something you make in-house.
Right. Otherwise, if you buy it, the price gets filled using the FIA, those subcontracting fees, or perhaps purchase info record.
Ah, so it distinguishes between manufactured cost and purchase price logic.
Exactly. And after that whole section, validate.
Naturally. Keep confirming the data.
Then we get to the last view mentioned, Gate 2.
And what's the story here? Similar to CCR2.
You got it. Just like CCR2, the guide simply says, validate. No specific fields mentioned for input here.
Okay, so CCR2 and Accounting 2 seem less about manual entry in this specific step and more about maybe system processing or just needing confirmation.
That's how it reads. So once you've configured and critically validated all 4 views, CCR1, CCR2, Accounting 1, and Accounting 2.
They're considered created.
Bingo. But there's one final step. A last yes validation.
What to save everything.
To save the whole set, all that work.
So wrapping it up, you access, ID the item, select the standard 4 views, plug in really specific data, mainly in CCR1 and Accounting 1 based on material, supplier, manufacturing method, lots of validation, and then save.
Yeah. What really stands out to me is just how detailed the system needs the information to be, especially the different codes for material types and suppliers in Accounting 1 and CCR1.
It really highlights the need for precise categorization for cost control, doesn't it?
Mhm.
That structured approach is clearly designed to ensure the financial picture for each article is as accurate as possible.
Absolutely. It's not just filling boxes. It's building a specific financial profile for that item based on its characteristics.
Which leads to a more reliable overall picture, you'd hope.
So thinking about this for our listeners, how might really understanding this ground level data entry, this foundational process, change how you look at or analyze the cost data and maybe even the supply chain info that comes out of the system later on?
That's a great point. Knowing the inputs, the logic, it gives you context for the outputs. It's not just a number. It's a number derived from this specific process and these specific classifications. Makes you think about the data differently.
Welcome to this deep dive. Today, we're really trying to crack the code on creating these CCR views for articles.
Right. We've got that user guide, and the goal is to not just list the steps, but